Okay, good morning, everybody. This is Ron. I hope Pastor has some time to join us today. Are you with us, Pastor? Are you with us yet? Okay. He may or may not join us today. Um, let's start off and see if we have any questions from yesterday. On yesterday, we talked about several things. We again addressed the earthquakes and the spiritual significance of them. Hopefully, we in talking about this, we take away the fear and gain the understanding that this is for our good. As we more, I think we part of the understanding is that we have every right and opportunity to define things what we want to see as we seek to be an understanding or understand what righteousness is and be understanding in the land. And if nothing more, we are students of truth. And as we grow in that direction and an understanding of ourselves and how this whole thing fits together, meaning the universe and the balance thereof, we see that all these things are for our good and the betterment of mankind. So we talked
Good
about the
morning.
earthquake. Hello. Go ahead. Someone have a comment?
No, I just saying good morning.
Oh, good morning, sir. How are you? Just doing a summation. We talked about the earthquakes on yesterday. We talked about the nation being born on a ship, which really still has me fascinated, and hopefully at some point we can go into that a little bit more. We'll see how today goes. We may go in a different direction. You just never know. We talked about Melchizedek, and I thought Audrey and Barb did a great job of summing that up, looking at the bread and the wine. Uh, and we even talked a little bit more in depth about the age of Aquarius and how all of that fits together as to where we are right now. Um, so before I ask a question, is there any questions or comments? And please feel free, whether it's one of those things or not, just whatever you see or have heard that you have a question about, please feel free.
Ron, this is Evelyn.
Hey,
Hello. Hey, after we got
hello.
off the phone, I went to YouTube and went to CERN, that project the scientists are doing that Kevin spoke about. And if I'm
Yeah,
not
I was
mistaken,
going
it has something to do with them
to. Yeah,
melanin. About they really want to talk about the melanin or find out melanin, something about melanin.
yeah, I was going to bring that up. I was going to see because I did the same as you. I went to YouTube and looked it up, and even after looking it up, I don't have an understanding yet where I can explain it. I do see a little bit of what they're trying to do. I don't know the purpose so much, but maybe Pastor can speak to it because I did mention it to him. So, Pastor, do you have any insight that you can share with us
They're
on
trying
that?
to, they're trying to create a black hole. They're trying to, oh my God, it's, they're trying to create a black hole to prove that there are parallel dimensions. That's the whole thing. The whole reason is to prove that there are parallel universes.
Which
Hello?
gives them what?
I don't know. I have not gotten that from it yet. All I've gotten from it is that they are trying to prove that they do exist. And for what purpose to prove it, I don't know. And maybe Kelvin has something on that.
Are you on today, Kevin?
I am. The only information that I really have about it is that they are accelerating protons at pretty much the speed of light, and directing them at each other to a point where they collide, and they want to capture whatever happens. Essentially, like Pastor was saying, either create a black hole or recreate a Big Bang scenario. What they get out of this, I'm not certain. But I do know that, on a subatomic level, you look at what an atom is. An atom is made of protons, neutrons, and electrons. So you're taking a proton of an atom, one of the smallest, particles that we know of to man to this day, and you're causing a collision which will destroy that proton. Essentially, this is kind of like a controlled atom bomb. An atom bomb works by splitting an atom, and that creates an extreme amount of energy. So when you take an even smaller particle and you destroy that or you break it apart, you're either creating smaller particles that we may not have had access to before, or who knows what amount of energy and what things could come from that. But where essentially they're messing with the fabric of what we know as the physical universe. And that's pretty much all I have to say about it. On a spiritual level, I feel that, for individuals that understand how to keep their vibration high and their energy protected and not feed into fear, I don't think there's anything to necessarily worry about. The irony behind, or not even irony, I think they do these things intentionally. The star Sirius will be its brightest between, I believe it's today and the 7th. This is the brightest time for the star Sirius. And Sirius provides a lot of energy to our planet, even more so than the sun, and it affects our crop growth. You have that, and then you also have currently an alignment of an array of planets that has been going on for about a week or two now. So there's just a lot of things that are aligned around this time period. You have the 4th of July. This is also the Pluto return of our nation. If you don't understand what a Pluto return is, that's basically Pluto is in the same point in the sky as it was when this nation was installed or initiated. And so Pluto, as all planetary things, have gravitational effects. And so what that effect may have, with the alignment and the timing of things, we don't know. I just feel that there is something. I can't say that it's something necessarily positive or negative. It's just something.
Kevin,
yes.
Kevin, may I add to that? I think I see what's happening here. First of all, I do believe, and I believed it from the beginning, when they first started talking about the colliding of those protons, and this was years ago. I felt then when they were building the tunnel that it had something to do with warfare, and they were keeping it secret. However, I don't think they're going to get what they're looking for. And the reason I say that is because of all the scenarios that all of the energy forces that are at play during this period of time. I do believe that the reason we have been talking about the birth of a nation on the waters, and in relationship to Audrey bringing up water bearer and Ron searching to understand water bearer, I'm sure you're going there today, Ron. I think that all of this comes at a time when the nation is being built. What am I talking about? The empire is dying. And as Kevin spoke concerning the return of Pluto, being at the same time the nation was formed, we are in the midst of forming a nation of harmony. We are on the precipice of this collision course with what has been and what must be. What has been, we are very much aware of it. What must be, all we can say about that is harmony. How that looks, I don't think any of us knows, yet we do know how, not only how to protect the energy, but also to project the energy that we are for the purpose of our balance for humanity. So I believe that when this collision takes place, they're not going to see what they expect. However, the energy forces are going to combine and become a formidable force that brings order to the chaos that we are currently experiencing. And I also believe that the reason that Sirius is at its brightest is because it had a direct effect on the African continent during a period of birth for the earth, for the African itself, meaning that this is the reason that the Dogons were able to know that there was a Sirius 2. And we are at a point now where Sirius 1 would be at its brightest. However, there's an energy thing from Sirius 2 as well. So the earth is going to be bombarded with extremely positive spiritual energy in the upcoming days. Thank you. And I appreciate that explanation also, Kevin. All right.
You're welcome. And I want to just agree with you in terms of it does seem to have the energy of the desire, like maybe there for it to be weaponized. Because when we're talking about breaking down the very fabric of what our universe is made of, essentially you're trying to tear the veil. And as we know, that is not something that man is to do in a physical aspect. So part of me even thinks that maybe it could be fluff. It could be a distraction from what we are supposed to be focused on as spiritual people, as Elohim, like Pastor was saying. Coming into a new order, a new reality, a new beginning. So yeah, I wanted to just agree with you on that.
Thank you, sir.
Good morning. This is Audrey. I think it's very relevant because that Hadron Collider is where they've made a lot of discoveries like quarks and neutrinos, and they've also discovered some particle called a boson, which they called a God particle. I don't exactly know what that means, but it does have some significance for them to be calling it a God particle.
Forgot about that.
And I think they're trying to get back to beginning in terms of creating what Kevin was talking about yesterday, antimatter. But yeah, I'm not sure how it all comes together, but I've been reading articles about it over the years. I don't understand it all, but I think it is relevant and significant.
I read about that God particle some time ago. And if my memory serves me correctly, the reason they called it the God particle is because without the significance of it is that there is no life and life cannot be created without it. And I don't know what it consists of. At least I don't remember it if I did know. But I do know that it has everything to do with not only the creation but the sustainment of life, and it could not exist without it. So my concern about it is that the collider has the potential at this junction with all these energy forces. It does indeed have the potential to be very destructive to the fabric of the universe. However, because there are water bearers, there are those who are very much aware of who they are and very much desiring to be the protectors of humanity and all that is created in this earth realm. It will not have the destructive effect that it could possibly have, because no longer are there people in this earth who are unaware of the God effect in the earth, meaning that there's no longer a period in this earth where people don't understand the significance of the African being brought to this nation. We are very much aware of the reasoning. We are very much aware of the Melchizedek effect, meaning that the powerful spiritual effect of Elohim that is to sustain this earth, and the power of knowing who we are and embracing it in totality, avoiding all the distractions that we are faced with, gives us opportunity to be a shield that protects not just the earth realm, but the universe as well, that fabric from being torn. Because if that fabric is ruptured, earth is gone. And when we think about the veil being torn in the temple, why was the veil torn in the temple? The veil was torn in the temple because of the resurrection of life. And the resurrection of spiritual life in this earth is now. There is no doubt in my mind that there has never been a group of people on this earth who are more determined to bring harmony to this earth than we are. And I say that because I don't know of anyone else. Also, I say it because at this period, even though we have known about the 1619 Project and the nation being born on the waters as a result of the 1619 Project, all of it is coming together now at a period when all of these energy forces are being tried. Suppose for a moment that the collider and the energy forces within that collider are the energy forces of evil. And I don't mean evil in the church sense of evil. I'm talking about unrightness. A group of men who are trying to play God themselves and don't know what they're doing. Suppose that's what that is. And suppose the opposing force to that is the energy forces that are coming from the alignment of the planets between the sun and the moon, which means that the masculine and the feminine has between it all the energy to bring birth. And the idea of the brightness of Sirius also emitted energy into the earth, or infusing energy into the earth. All of these energy forces coming together to nullify what could happen within the confines of that collider. If that is the truth, and I believe it is, then we are at a place in time where we are going to begin to see the purpose of time. The purpose of time being to sustain us until we got to a place where we recognize the true nature of the African obligation to bring balance back to this earth, which was an obligation from beginning, which means that everything was out of whack for a reason. And the reason is because there has to be a force in the earth. Since we were told to dominate the earth, there has to be a force in the earth who understand what that means. And that means that we are to create an environment that is comparable to the environment of the spiritual realm, which means that as above, so is below becomes a reality. And that reality speaks to an example of what Jesus was after resurrection. He was capable of living and existing in both worlds at the same time. And he gave us a picture of what a human looks like. And what it looks like, I don't mean physically looks like. I'm talking about in terms of not only purpose, but also looks like in terms of spirituality plus physicality. So I know that that's where we are at this moment. The only question is, does it come into play in a broader sense when the collider does what it's supposed to do when the protons are crashing each other? Or is there a prevention mechanism involved in that with the energy coming from the universe? I don't know what the answer to that is. However, I am excited about this period and looking forward to it. Thank you. Are there questions or comments?
I had a few comments. Well, just explaining, I haven't looked up this actual, I guess, experiment, but I do have an understanding of black holes and coordinating points and how that works. So we normally believe or have believed that energy is not, destroyed, and there is no, I guess, no growth. There's no addition or subtraction of energy that exists in our reality. That part is not true. What a black hole does, or what it can do with energy, is it does take in energy, so to speak, from this dimension, but there's also a white hole that's associated with it. And what happens is the energy can be accelerated and then come back into the system. So there is no closed system, which is what I believe the scientists are actually trying to do to tap in to that. In regards to potential, there is a great deal of potential, and typically around these types of situations, because our this reality already has certain coordinating points and have throughout history that serve kind of like in the same way, where all of a sudden these great, for less of better word, mathematical and science feats or advancement in human civilization has actually taken place. Now, as it relates to the potential for a sudden influx of energy as such, there is typically on the head or on the onset a lot of chaos, but the chaos is simply associated with, and just the other side of the coin, of the potential or the availability and the possibility of great creativity. Creativity and chaos are basically two sides of the same coin. Now, going along with that creativity, just with that chaos, with everything in a sense being thrown out of whack, there is the possibility not necessarily the end result, but there is a greater possibility of the end result, or more easily achievable than normal, the type of peace and balance that we actually speak of. It was something else I was going to say, but I forget. So I guess I'm finished at the moment.
I want to piggyback on what you said. You said chaos and creativity are two sides of the same coin. It reminded me of, I think, when Pastor said one day that chaos is simply order that we don't actually have current understanding of. And so that gives me a better sense of what creativity is. It's creating order out of chaos. And so I think a lot of times we have maybe a learned fear of chaos. You know, there's certain words in our dialect and our vocabulary that trigger certain things in us based on our lack of understanding, and what I think we call that ignorance. And Pastor also mentioned about it possibly being something evil in terms of being ignorant about what the possibilities could be. I'm glad you touched on the point of the black hole and having the white hole, because they actually proved that is a real thing just recently. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh no, appreciate it, Kevin. I know the question. Well, first of all, this entire process that is being taken place is something that scientists are trying to figure out. I would definitely say from a scientific approach, or more so from a synthetic approach. But there's also something that every human being, of course, already has access to, and the ability to do so. Of course, that comes with great attention, practice, and determination, etc., because it's highly spiritual. Kevin, you did mention at one point, or somebody mentioned something with melanin being associated with this research. And I wanted to know, could you speak a little bit more on that? What exactly was that?
I think it was Evelyn who brought that up about the melanin and was asking a question about what did it mean, or the relevance of it, if I remember correctly. And a black hole cannot exist without melanin. The universe is full of melanin. So it is impossible to make any attempt to do what the scientists are attempting with the collider in terms of smashing protons into each other without, in the back of your mind, realizing that it's going to have an effect, whether it's adverse or positive, is going to have an effect on melanin itself, which is the life source of the universe. And now that I'm speaking of this, I'm remembering that regardless of what they call the God particle, it has to involve melanin. The God particle is melanin, because without melanin, there is no life in the earth at all. So I see that in relationship to what the attempts are with that collider. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah. I hadn't spoken on this, but I've been looking into it since we've been talking about melanin for quite some time now. And the pineal gland as well. Basically, scientists go back and forth in terms of whether they're actually the same, even though they're both associated with melanin, one being with the chemical composition of the melanin that's in the skin, but also the pineal gland in everyone produces a type of melanin as well. But scientists don't understand, and I'm not speaking for everyone. I'm just saying scientists specifically don't necessarily understand. At least they haven't said so publicly. What that melanin does, that is producing the pineal gland. That melanin is actually associated, of course, with sleep. But what it does is it aids or helps in terms of changing the focus of consciousness that comes through many times the dream state. So that is that particular melanin that we, of course, associate with being dark or sleep or out of it in a sense. And in one sense, it is, I guess, that actually happening because there's a focus that is not just on physical reality in itself, and then is those other realms that are able to be perceived and operated in. And so that's what I was asking. I thought someone mentioned melanin as it relates to this particular project that is being done by the scientists with crashing electrons in one another and destroying them, because that too is this principle or this idea. And I don't want to say principle or idea as if it's just theoretical and it doesn't happen, but this deals with the actually in some way knowingly interacting with dimensions or reality, not of the one that we are that we concentrate in. I would say it that way. I'm finished.
I want to mention something. We were talking about Age of Aquarius, water bearer, the importance of water, and how water is life. Essentially, we could associate water with the Most High Himself because of our relationship with it. It's almost like water and melanin are synonymous or are correlated in some kind of way. Maybe it's our physiology that converts water into melanin or something like that. But everything that we're talking about, the planets aligning, the science experiment, it's kind of reminding me of a theory that I heard of some time ago about a singularity, where all of the timelines, we're talking about different dimensions and different time periods, different universes, where all of these things merge together at one point. And scientists have been talking about this for a while, and they have no idea what would happen, what will happen at this particular point. But there's just a lot of energy around this time period, this week in particular. Just right off bat, I've been, for June, I only drank water. And for some reason, I decided I wanted to celebrate on July 1st and have a glass of wine. It's fine by me. But something is telling me to get back to drinking water, especially for this week, being that the energies on the planet are extremely high and coming from a variety of directions. I think it's important for us to tune in to the planet, tune into the water, and not only tune into the water, but improve the frequency of the water as you associate with it, whether it be in your shower, whether it be when you're standing by it, if you're near a lake or a river or a stream, whether you're drinking it, whatever you're doing with it, there's something about water that is important this week, especially this week.
I think the importance of it is not only what we have said, but also because of the amount of adverse energy that's permeating the earth. If we can see that as a collider, then we see a collision that is taking place with our desire. And that collision that's taking place can be seen in the decisions that the Supreme Court handed down, and can be seen with the same energy that birthed this nation being in existence now. And that energy being that anybody who is not Caucasian is beneath being human. And that is being expressed through the Supreme Court and leadership in Congress. When you think about it, what makes me think about this is that Biden was in the process of appointing anti-abortion judge in Kentucky just the day before the Roe versus Wade was overturned, and he put it on hold. The question being, why? Why would he do that? It's simply because all of the energy is the same. And with all of that energy being the same, then what we are seeing present is an opportunity for us not only to increase the frequency of the water, because when we increase the frequency of the water, we increase the frequency of our being, because we are mostly water. So what I see in this is we have a grand opportunity, because we are at the birth of the nation all over again. It's cyclical. And we are at a point that this nation has never, ever experienced. And that is a group of people who are able to use the energy of Elohim, as opposed to making efforts to embrace the energy of a legislative body that does not have its best interests at heart. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes.
Yes. So, Pastor, this is Evelyn. And Ron, because you and I are both saying that we know that there's more. So, you think that some of this, what we're talking about, is the more that we're desiring, Pastor, or anyone?
I don't only think it's the more that we are desiring. I think it's the more that Jesus talked about. Not only will you do what I've done, the greater things. This is a greater experience than the earth has ever seen. That's what I think we are.
And what's
So
more,
is this why you say, and so is this why you were saying that this is the best time to be in the universe or in this earth, because of what's happening now? We have the chance to transform all that unrightness or that negative energy into positive energy.
Well, that's the purpose of the energy that we're in the midst of being bombarded with from the universe, from all sides. So for the purpose of doing that, for the purpose of transforming the energy that has been, would you mute your phone, please? Hello, would you mute your phone? Transforming that energy of negativity, or the energy that appears to be negative. We have opportunity to do that now, because it can't be destroyed; it's just transformed. Okay.
So everything that Kevin was saying, and you and everybody else, Sheldon, are saying, is resonating with me. It's like it's going into my cells about the water and with Sirius, all these things we talked about previously, but now it's like it's just registering with me. Something is like, I just feel different. I mean, it's like a frequency or something that's like, I can't explain it. And I don't know if anybody else is feeling that way.
well, Evelyn, you said in terms of knowing that something is different, or knowing that something's more. even though you said that and you've said that in the past, that's not actually what I believe what you mean. And what I mean by that is you actually mean something more. What you just described as it relates to water, etc., is not as much as you thinking that there is more, but it is you more so acting and participating in that more in a sense. With what Kevin was just describing with the water, he is creating, but the creation is starting off with um, his current vessel or the house of his soul, which is his body. And so he is changing his body from within. So, and that's with his thoughts and his beliefs and his emotions. And in regards to his thoughts, those things that he feels very strongly about. So, as I mentioned, for example, the pineal gland producing melanin, it is us in a sense with our thoughts, beliefs, and emotions that actually create that. In the same sense, if if something occurs and you're dealing with anxiety or you're frightened, your body immediately produces a bunch of cortisol to give you temporary energy, but at the same time you're frantic, and so that same cortisol can have an adverse effect on your body, your muscles, your heart, etc. If it is being produced too long and at a high rate. So, in the same way, when we talk about all these things as it relates to science, scientists are trying to understand something that we all, including them, already do and or connected to. Is just that they are trying to manipulate or, in a sense, steal something that is already their birthright and already free to them. But in order for them to understand and walk into that, they have to have great intentions and, in a sense, yield. And so, what you just described just now, what Kevin just described just now, is actually, in a sense, yielding to that, but in other words, yielding to yourself, yielding to the Elohim that you are. But we're not just, or anyone else listening, we're not just only thinking that there's something more. In a sense, we are the more. We are, yeah, we are the more. We are the desire and the intention of that more, not separate from it. I'm finished.
This is Barbara. Mary said yesterday, who I am is not what you see. And that's similar to what we talked about before. Trust who you be, not what you see. And the more that you're talking about is who we be. And it's that consciousness that we have to continue to be focused on, and instead of any of the doubt that could come into play when we think about, well, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? We can't do that. We are the more, and the more does not. It's like I think Kevin was talking about earlier, and we talked about in the past about two sides of the same coin. Which side are you going to focus on? Which side are you going to give life to? Which side of that coin is going to either direct you, or are you going to direct it? And the more that we be, the more that we are, the essence of Elohim that we are, does not focus and see the negative. We focus on all of that that's positive, all of that for the benefit of humanity. And I'm convinced it's more than just humanity, it's for the benefit of the universe and all beings in the universe even. Because I mean, we've been talking about the celestial ball that we live on, this physical earth. But apart from and out of these bodies that we are in, we are part of even a greater universe. And that's who the Creator is. That's who the Most High is.
Hey, it's Ron again. I wanna pause here for a minute and take a look at where we are and the discussion that just happened. I think we do this so frequently. We don't stop to look at what we just did and what the effect that it has on the universe. A question was asked based on something Kevin said yesterday, and I want to get back to what the statement Kevin made, because that was extremely important. The question asked today took us on a journey, and the journey, clarity, and in understanding what this collider is and the objective of it. Because I read several articles yesterday, but I did not understand them all. I saw bits and pieces of it, but you guys discussing it today brought clarity to me. So in bringing clarity, you did something else. Without shaping this thing, we became protectors of it. We became protectors not only of the earth, but of the universe. I listened to what Sheldon said. I listened to what Kevin said. And then Pastor put a cap on all of it and said what the expectations are for us, what we expect to see with this thing, and what we want to do with it. So you became the righteousness for all of mankind. And I'm going to use that in a minute. The other side of that is when we did that, what you did was also sharpen and bring more confidence, if you will, and more awareness to, if you will, to the human who is Elohim. So we became stronger in the conversation of you protecting the universe. Now, let's look at this, another part of this. The scripture says, and I forget all of it, but the latter part of the verse says, the last should be first and the first should be last. And you can take that and apply it to all kind of things. You can apply it to races. You can apply it to gender. You can apply it to sins and saints, however you want to look at that. But look at it this way. There is, when we talked about the tithe, the tithe represents the whole, because the tithe is the spiritual essence of the whole. What we became in this discussion was the tithe. We became the tenth. And what do I mean? The first was that part of man that was released in the land. He was awakened, and he awakened by his intelligence. He was awakened by his animalistic instinct. But the part that was last, the soulful part of him that was not awakened yet, is the part that you're waking up now. And that part is with you being the tithe, with you waking up that soul, with you bringing understanding, with you bringing another place of consciousness into the land, you're awakening the soul for mankind. So this seemingly innocent conversation that we just had has really, really strong and rippling effects in the vibrations of the universe of who we are and who Elohim is in the land. And you have strengthened that and made that into something even more concrete as we, I'm sitting here listening to what's being said. So I just want to stop because we have these conversations and we hear them, but the day I really heard this, and as Evelyn said, it resonates with me. It means a lot more than the words that I heard. Thank you.
This is Kevin. Ron, you mentioned about, the energy. And we've been talking about energy not being created nor destroyed. It's there. And I hope that everyone, and I try to have dialogue with people around me, that, this energy is available for everyone. The energy in the universe is there for everyone. It's more about how we tap into certain energies in certain ways by expanding our perspectives, expanding our knowledge, expanding our intelligence, our wisdom, our understanding of these things, which allows us to tap into these energy sources. We talked about a lot of, the planet Solana, a lot of things, the science experiment, the Sirius star, the water, and our effect on the energy itself, on the frequency of the planet. It all culminates down to one thing: our intention. Because there's many things that we have not discussed on this call that are still happening all around us. In a sense, we are in the eye of a storm, but we can dictate the direction of the winds, the rain, the lightning, when we focus on our center and who we are and our connection with the Most High.
I couldn't agree with. I'm sorry, I thought you were done. Go ahead, Kevin.
I'm done. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say I couldn't agree with you more, and that was the conclusion I meant to end with, and it escaped me. That's the importance of, as you said, there's so much stuff going on, but that's the importance of your questions. That's the importance of people on the line speaking up and bringing things to our awareness, because I was not familiar with this. So it brought about a discussion that is going to have a rippling effect. So the things that are asked are important. It may not seem like it. It may seem like something that just bothers you. Like, for example, Mary talked about the other day, the earthquake and how she felt about that, moving into that area. And look at the discussion that it generated. So you're right, so much stuff is going on, but when we talk about it, and the difference is I don't know exactly what the intent of science is, but your intent in discussing this is to bring about truth. Is to bring about truth and understanding. We are still focused on love and kindness and forgiveness and compassion and protecting the universe and bringing enlightenment to the land. So as long as that is our focus, we can talk about anything. We can talk about anything. So thank you, but keep the information coming. Thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah, I just wanted to say something right quick. Kevin is right, both Kevin and Ron, and just go a little bit further with that intention. That intention going further than just desire, but as Kevin mentioned before, in terms of how he thinks of the water in his body. It starts off as a feeling or a thought or belief within himself. And so his intention being actually something a bit more. And then Ron, when you talked about love and compassion, immediately when the mind focuses on love and compassion, to some degree, sometimes more than others, it automatically has both an emotional, spiritual, and physical effect on your body immediately, in terms of is an act of the decision to tap into that, to tap into that in terms of deciding, or just not even deciding, but actually producing, being a creator of love, compassion, and balance. And the more sincere that is, or the more deeply one feels of that, the greater their ability to create that. But I just wanted to highlight that one little small thing that you said, Ron, with as we just mentioned, love and compassion, what that automatically does, or what it automatically sets off.
Thank you. Thank you. You reminded me of something else, Sheldon. I want to bring up. Pastor talked about the memory of water. I thought of an example of this. It didn't hit me the other day when I thought of. I did when you were speaking. Been a couple weeks ago now. I was at work and I was having wasn't a hard day, but just a busy day, and I thought about when the fellows get together sometime on the line, or especially when we used to do it in person, maybe over Frank's house or at meals or somewhere, and get together and just kind of let our hair down, so to speak. I was sitting there in my work mode, and I had that thought, and my whole body changed. I felt different, in that, and I thought about it when you were speaking, what that is, that love and compassion, and that I felt has a frequency, and it came back to me. The memory of it came back to me. That frequency came back to me. So when you talk about those things, and the love and kindness, and as Kevin said, the energy, and this week, or what's going on in the land now, the energy and the frequencies and the rhythms that we talk about are real. And when you focus on that, and you talk about the water, and man being made mainly of water, and the earth being made of water, we have we have influences over those things, and not only influences, but you become one with. So that frequency, that of love and compassion and forgiveness, all those things are real. And when we're in tune to them, when we're really in tune to those feelings, we can feel that. And feel just how real that is. So I just thought about that when you said that. It just kind of, put it together with the thought that I had a few weeks ago when I thought about when all of us get together. But anyway. But last but not least, keep your questions and comments coming. This is important, not only for us as a group. I think it brings us closer as a group, and it also sharpens us, if you will, as to who we are, and it brings balance to the universe.
Two points in what actually takes place. Sometime in the last couple of weeks, Miss Vermeil asked a question about teaching. I think Pastor Richard said that we all teach one another, and this whole what we do coming on here in general is more so just like Montessori, in terms of when those questions come that you just asked, Ron. It makes all of us, the people who are supposedly the ones who are doing all the talking, and the teachers, we are greatly affected as well, because it forces us to dig within ourselves to see those answers that we had as well that we were not aware of. So this is a process that everyone is participating in, at once. We're no different from you in the same way we're supposedly in Montessori. The older kids are at once teaching the younger kids, but at the same time, learning and expanding their knowledge and understanding as they teach and help guide and lead as well. Because even when they do that, they are being both a teacher and a student at the same time. Now, Ron, to your point about us getting together and feeling that change, what that is doing is when we do that, we're able to more so calm, in a sense, whatever it is that we're focusing on, or kind of draw back and focus on more. And what I mean by focus on more, we're able to experience and feel or be present with, consciously present with greater aspects of ourselves, or essentially the Elohim that we are. We're simply changing our focus. Now, one more note to expand on the love and compassion, Ron, for everyone, what you just said. It is also important to, when we feel very upset or whatever it is, and we don't really care for that state, to process that in a sense and bring order to it. In a sense, you're dealing with whatever that issue is, and this, I mean, internally within the self that has one off balance. And in the process of doing that, what is actually taking place is you're actually rewiring your brain as well. And so even trigger points that may have in the past caused you to go off, immediately caused you anger, immediately caused you fear, etc. When that same thing that typically causes that reaction in the future, it doesn't cause it that supposedly fearful or angry reaction, or at the very least, it starts to trigger that it stops creating that effect, that anger or fear to the same magnitude. So every time we, basically what I'm saying is every time we do that and we process these things, or we look to find out our beliefs, not just ignoring them and shutting them out and say, nope, I'm only going to concentrate on love and compassion, but actually work towards that, is a rewiring of the brain also that is taking place. And then those things going forward have a less of an effect on us, the supposedly negative effect. I'm doing air quotes. I'm finished. Let me know if there are any questions about that for me to try to make that more clear if necessary.
I think that's important for people to understand, Sheldon. When we come to talk about, spiritual things, and I think there'll be a point in time in the near future where psychiatry and spirituality will have to merge, because what we're doing when we're speaking from our spiritual center, from our soul, and when we're building with each other, when we're expanding on these concepts, like Sheldon was saying, literally rewiring your brain to function in a better way. We've all been programmed to live in a certain kind of way. It was done initially by our parents. We were raised to think a certain kind of way. We were raised to view the world a certain kind of way. So essentially, we're all living in a hologram of what we think the world really is. So when you shift your perspective of any kind of subject matter and you can flip it to a positive, you can, I think the word is transmute it. When you change it into something else that is beneficial to you, that you can use, your brain now starts to associate that in a more positive likeness. And that starts to penetrate into your heart. And when your heart and your brain are in harmony, you become extreme, you're unstoppable. That's all I have to say.
What you guys have been talking about is brings me right back around in a loop. This is several weeks ago. I said that I have pictures on my wall, and those pictures were women who were pouring water from a smaller vessel into a larger vessel. And what we know about spiritual things and what we know about water, because water is symbolic of spirit as well, which is life. What we know about water is it goes wherever it can get. It goes through cracks and crevices. It takes the shape of whatever container you pour it in. But beyond the containers, it goes, for instance, if you have a hole in the ground, the water will fill the hole and then come up from there. So whatever the need is, whatever the crevice is, whatever the challenge is, whatever the worry is, whatever the negativity is, it does not matter. Spirituality has that, from what I heard, just been hearing you guys talk about. It has that propensity, that ability to be what's needed. And I think that's what you were talking about, Kevin, when you were talking about combination of the both, combination of psychiatry and spirituality. And it's not just simply psychiatry and spirituality. It's any part of medicine. It's any part of anything in life. Anything in life. Spirituality has that capability, that ability, when we are aware of it, to go wherever it's needed. So when we talk about whatever we've been talking about today, it not only affects us here on the phone, as we well know, but it goes beyond Earth, and it goes in the macro for anybody who desires to tap into that same energy that we tap into. Because you're right, Kevin, everybody has this capability. It's understanding and becoming aware that we have the capability. And that's when I think, Pastor, you said something about it's good to know our physicality as well as our spirituality. That's when we know what we as the humans who are Elohim are capable of, because we've got the essence of who we are, which is greater than what we appear to be. It is so much greater than what we appear to be that can affect mankind and all creation.
Thank you, Barbara. I'm sorry, Pastor. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson. I don't want us to miss that. The womb of an African is on the court for the first time during this period of a major, major influx of energy into this atmosphere. Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson. From that womb, justice is birthed. as it was in the beginning, so it is now. And I do not think for a moment that her being sworn in during this period is coincidental. It's orchestrated by the universe. All life came from an African womb, and all justice comes from that same womb. And regardless of what we think or say, there's no doubt in our minds that she is definitely African. And from that womb, the expectation, the realization is justice for all. The competing womb was Amy Barrett, I think her name is. And from that womb came a flow of injustices like none other. The court has never had such a flow or birth of injustices that it has experienced since she's been on the courts. And it is now time for justice to prevail over everything that is. The other thing is that I think a better reference to the energy sources that are available is not so much that we tap into them as it is that we become aware of them, because they are here whether or not we tap into them. The awareness makes us cognizant of our abilities, our power to bring justice to humanity with the use of these energies that are available. And when we look at the reality of what we call the use of the energies, it is not so much a use of them as it is we are the energy that prevails over all unrighteousness, over all injustices. It always takes the African womb in the right place at the right time to bring into this realm what is necessary for a permanent prevailing change. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions or comments, anyone? Going back to something Kevin said and Sheldon and Barbara and Pastor kind of all hinted to the same thing or said the same thing. It reminded me of the scripture, many are called, few are chosen. The energy is available to everyone. What we do is available to everyone. But the chosen is you. When you turn to see it, when you turn to be it, that is the chosen. When you decided, I am Elohim, I want to know what that means. That is the chosen. And not everyone will make that choice. So, again, I think what we do is fundamental to the universe, and it also strengthens who we are and gives us a greater awareness of what this is about. So,
hey, Ron.
Enjoy. Yes, ma'am.
Hey, this is Rainia. As I was listening, I mean, this is something I know we've talked about before, but I was watching Stranger Things, that show. But the point of the show that I wanted to bring to here was the people that were used in the show became gates. And it reminded me of the Bible verse, lift up your hands, all you gates. And kind of what we're talking about with being the energy is not just the energy, but the gateway to bring about things, and I just bring that up to say, in everything, all the threads that seem to connect what we've been talking about is how our actions are the gate for whatever we choose to bring into the world. So like I said, I know something we talked about, but it's just something that hits home as we're talking.
Great analogy. Thank you.
Also,
Thank you.
Raina, in that Stranger Things, they I think CERN is in that Stranger Things show. They talk about that.
Yeah, they might have, Kevin. I remembered hearing about it recently, but I couldn't remember where.
hmm And aside from all that scientific rhetoric, I have been led to share something with you all. It's something that I've been saying. I guess it's kind of a mantra. Some people could call it a prayer. But every morning when I wake up, I just, at some point before I start my day, I just go into to the Most High, holy and one true divine Creator, the observer and essence of all that which is, that which was, and that which will be. I humble myself in awareness of thy conscious presence in each and every living thing, far beyond my imagination of self. We further acknowledge the responsibility of the personal and collective authority invested in and through us to do great works through infinite wisdom and love. Grateful for the awareness of thine conscious presence, we are all I am, protected in the name of love, grace and mercy, righteousness, abundance, and abandonment by acts of stewardship and giving, sowing and reaping, personal gifts and effects. We are all I am. We are present on purpose and in gratitude. Show yourself strong on my behalf, for you know the desires of my heart and matters of my soul. Go before me with all thine required armies to lead, guide, and direct my path. All things through Christ is Elohim. Amen. And so basically, I go into that every morning to acknowledge the responsibility that I have as Elohim, as a spiritual being. And we all have that responsibility. Because as Barbara was saying, our actions, our words, everything that we do influences and changes everything around us. I don't know if you all have ever seen a movie called The Butterfly Effect, but in summary, essentially a butterfly, the flapping wings of a butterfly can cause a tornado on the other side of the world. So it's important for us to be mindful and intentional. And I think we're doing a sound job of that on this call. I'm done.
Kevin, there's also a movie called Everything, Everywhere, All at Once.
Phenomenal
Yeah,
movie.
yep.
Crazy.
And the whole message is that you can bring balance to all of that with just through love and kindness. And just what you're saying, if we're intentional, we can bring balance to all of that. Even though it was kind of crazy and you didn't quite know what was going on at times, but the message was there.
I think that
Echo here. I think I got speakers too close to the. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, I don't. Okay, anyway. Yeah, I'm really intrigued and encouraged by this conversation, this call. I agree with you, Kevin. And for me, your reappearance. I haven't heard you in some time. And I think what you brought to the discussion is very helpful and interesting. I also am thinking, I think by virtue of what we've discussed today, we're at a place where we're ready to be a little more careful about the vocabulary we use to describe things. I think we still fall into using some old ways of explaining new understandings. And I think we can think a little harder to come up with some better So more appropriate and helpful and leading kinds of expressions. I just say that it's not a judgment. I'm just saying I think we're reaching that plateau, should I say, or that new level. And in fact, the reference to Stranger Things, and we were watching last night one of those Marvel Universe, multi-universe movies, the new one that's out, Doctor Strange, I guess, which was a bit wild. But what comes to my mind, and I'll just say this is personal. I've never been that comfortable with our use of the term putting in the macro. I don't think, because it suggests that we're really creating something, when my belief is it's already been created. It's all there, but what we're trying to do is access it and understand it. So I like better, and it comes out of today's discussion, the notion of a portal. So if anything, we're not putting something into the macro. We're maybe bringing it to us or through us so that it can be more, what should I say, activated? Because maybe it's been there latent the whole time, sort of in the Jungian sense again, which I like, of the sort of shadow self versus the, call it the active or visual self. Those same kind of notions, bringing something from the darkness into the light. You didn't create it. You moved its place, if you want, and you created a new significance, but it already always had that potential, just waiting to be, if you like, discovered. Anyway, I don't know, but hopefully that might be something to reflect on. That's all I intend by it. Thanks.
Hey,
Richard,
Okay.
when we talk about putting in the macro, it's based upon the reality that we are Elohim, and that we are creators because we are Elohim, and the energy that is available, we keep that energy and desire to shape that energy, or desire to have that energy flow through us for the purpose of putting what we call into the macro and understanding of what we are seeing through the eye, so it becomes more available to others. And that's all based upon the scripture saying that we are to dominate, and that has been misused forever and a day. And the domination of this, what the scripture is talking about, is that we are the ones who are in charge of the earth, this physical earth. We meaning those who have embraced the reality that they are Elohim, are responsible for making sure that an awareness is placed in what we call the macro in a different manner. For example, when we talked about baptism, and we start talking about the idea that baptism is not water, that ended with Jesus. Spiritual baptism is what is that Jesus spoke of, as well as John. So baptism today is baptism with the Spirit. So that's in the macro. The other thing is when we even some of the vernacular that we start using, like instead of talking about someone dying, we talked about transitioning. And before long, that was the word that even the traditional churches were using in reference to someone who exited their body. Rather than saying dying, they were talking about transitioning. And it was a landmark for us, so we could, a watermark, so we could hold on to that, and understanding that what we say is extremely important, and the way we say it is. And I do wholeheartedly agree with you that our usage of terms, our vernacular, must change with our understandings. And I see those changes taking place even without us being aware of it. It is something that's flowing from through our souls that's taking place. And when we look at it retrospectively, we see that our speech has truly changed from what it was 5 years ago, 2 years ago. So again, I appreciate your comments. Thank you.
Hey, just real quick to what you were saying, Uncle Richard, and what Pastor said. It's if we look at what we've been talking about with CERN and the Higgs boson, the God particle, and so forth, that's all in the atomic or the micro or the very tiny scale, right? And what we're talking about with our understanding, although we are refining that, is putting it into a macro or bigger or more evident scale, as opposed to just being contained in the spiritual and not understanding how that spiritual is manifest in the physical. And that's what we're doing, right? And I apologize, I've got loud travelers with me. So, but that's all I have.
I understand what you mean, Rainier, but I see it as we putting things in the macro is us just creating a certain frequency, a certain energy, so that other people can pull it out of themselves. We're not creating it, no, but we're helping them to pull out what's already in themselves.
Nick gave an example of that. Is simply being in a situation or being, let's say in the midst of your coworkers in the office or, at your job or something, and there being a lot of tension and chaos, as we would say, quote unquote, in the air, and then feeling that peace or creating that peaceful environment within. So what you were then feeling a calmness, in a sense, within yourself in the midst of this supposed chaos, and then that calmness then being available for others to then tap into it as well. Not meaning that they are going to tap into it, but in a sense is made more readily available or closer within reach, in a sense for them to even see it or take a glance of it, if you will, and then make a decision or not, or whether or not they want to partake in it. I'm finished.
Well, isn't that what we say or what we do every week? You improve the universe by improving yourself, and that is giving others opportunity to tap into that energy that is made available. So you when you change the frequency of yourself, you change it in the universe, and it gives others that opportunity. So that's where I've always understood it as well.
And I want to take a. Go ahead, Kevin.
I just want to piggyback on what Richard was saying. The importance of our understanding of what we're saying. Because when I hear, we're discussing, each person seems to have their own expression of what they feel that the macro is in their own wording. And so it goes back to intention. The words that we say are creative. Even in the book of Genesis, the first verse, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And God said, let there be light. He said, let there be light, which means sound came before light. So if sound comes before light, it is what is manifesting what we see and what our reality is. So in essence, what I'm hearing people say as far as what the macro is, it is the out there and available. In summary of what I'm hearing. And so I do agree with you, Richard, that our language has to reflect our intentions. And a lot of times we find ourselves in conversations just with people, casually talking, and we say phrases that we've just learned over time that are actually dictating our reality, but they might not necessarily be what we desire for ourselves or for the reality of those around us. So I just wanted to just agree with you, Richard, on that. I think Pastor Richard broke it down excellently. And just hearing everybody talk about their understanding of the macro just leads me back to the iteration of intention. I'm done.
Any other questions or comments? Anyone?
Yes, this is Jackie. I have a comment, and just listening to Kevin, and just to piggyback on his what he said. But the main word that stuck out with me with Kevin was intention. And several months ago, I was dealing with anxiety, and I started taking yoga and run. I remember you telling me you took a yoga class, so I decided to take a yoga class back in February. And I was like, I don't know. But anyways, I talked to Kathy. Kathy said, just give it a try, go back. And I did. And the word that they use at the beginning of class is set your intentions for this class and the rest of the day, because I normally do it during my lunch hour. And that word has really stuck with me. So on the days that I don't do yoga, or in the mornings before I get started, I set my intentions for the day. And just piggybacking on what Kevin said, his morning mantra, and just what he said, I'm setting my intentions for the day. And it has brought balance, so much balance, and for my meditation, and it has really helped calm. And I didn't know that when I went to class, my instructor, we always give ourselves a hug of gratitude when we leave. And that day was a good day. I mean, it was a good workout or whatever. And I said, maybe I need to give you a hug. And after class, we kind of shared some of our experiences. And little did I know, he said, Jackie, you bring so much light to the class. And little did I know, and the class is not big, and that's what I like about it, because it's during our lunch hour. Everybody can't make it. Some of the classes are bigger in the evenings, but it has really helped me. And one thing I just wanted to say, my family hadn't been together in a while on my mom's side, because a few people were passing away, and one of my older cousins, it was placed on his heart to just do something in honor of our grandparents. And we did, and he called me, and I told them to set your intentions for what you want this to be. And a few of them got a little discouraged, but they couldn't discourage me. Even though it rained yesterday, oh man, it was just awesome, and it just did my heart good. And I woke up yesterday morning, I was feeling a little anxious, but I remembered what my intentions were. And man, it just flowed. And it's gotten to the point now, if something comes up, I set my intentions. And one thing that one of my instructors said in yoga as well, he was like, when we're doing the poses and we're moving through the poses, he'll just say, you want to give loving kindness. In my mind, I say, I am loving kindness. I don't want to be loving kindness. I am loving kindness. And it has really helped me. I just wanted to share that. I'm finished.
Thank you, Jackie. Appreciate you sharing that. And I'm glad yoga's helping.
I constantly say that I'm a work in progress, but it has helped, and it is continuing to help. And I just had to add that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, Jackie, we're here to be a works in progress. So we're all part of that same journey. I would just say, remember, the origin of yoga is not twisting yourself into positions. It's breath, which is what? The essence of life. So if you can connect a sense of intention with breathing, I think you've arrived. And I'm saying you to myself, really. And I'm just saying what I feel about all this. So you're breathing your intention. And just as it's easy in the course of the day to be distracted away from a deep, full breath, it's easy to be distracted away from intention. So this is why in meditation, they say, just focus on your breath. And the student says, why is that so hard? Well, that's the trick, isn't it? So it's breathing and being, and it's all wrapped up in there, in my view, in what I feel from what my journey has opened to me. That's it.
And
Thank you,
another
Richard.
thing, Richard, that helped me is when Ron and Pastor shared with, and Kathy shared with me, there's no right or wrong way to meditate. And breathing, because I breathe constantly throughout the day, not just in my yoga class, not just in the morning. I'm breathing constantly throughout the day. I'll sit down, I'll just take 5 or 10 minutes to myself, and that has helped too. But when it resonated with me that there's no right or wrong way to meditate, that's when it just really helped me to know, you meditate this way, I meditate that way, and there's no right or wrong way to do that. And that clarity, that just brought so much clarity to me when that was explained. Thank you, I'm done.
Well, I guess one more time, I would just add to that, from my experience, it's back to whether you breathe during the day. Of course, we all breathe during the day, but what I understand from my own experience and from some trainings is a full, proper breath, so to speak, from what the Chinese call your lower dantian, or you might call your gut, your belly. And all of us can become aware in the course of a day how our breaths become shorter and higher in our chest. And that's analogous to the whole experience of the meditation, if you like, which is why, to me, it's just different ways of saying the same thing and trying to stay in the same place, to view the world, yourself, etc., from that base, if you like. And that's what's always been the trick. So it's incredibly easy and incredibly difficult.
Great discussion, guys. That seems like a good place to end it. I think we've said a lot to meditate on, to think on, and if there are no more questions or comments, why don't we end today and be prepared tomorrow afternoon at 6 p.m. Come together again. Any final questions or comments?
You sure, Ron?
Thank you.
Tomorrow?
Thank you, sir.
I'm sorry, what'd you say, Charles?
Oh, yes,
Charles?
tomorrow's 4th of July.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah. So what I would suggest very strongly is that you enjoy your families tomorrow. I don't celebrate the 4th of July because it means nothing to me. I do encourage interaction with family and whatever you choose to do, because we don't control the days that we're off in terms of holidays. However, we can control whether or not we celebrate them in relationship to righteousness and justice, and the idea of enslavement predating a nation, and a nation being formed based upon enslavement of us. So with that, I strongly suggest that we see each other again on next Saturday. Any questions or comments about that, please?
It's a quick thing. Folks are meeting today, right, with the California group?
I didn't understand.
Some folks are still meeting today with the West Coast group, right, the California?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Absolutely. Okay. I'm done.
Okay. Well, next Saturday, we'll see each other back on the line at 10 a.m. You guys have a great week, and thanks again, okay? Be safe.
And thank you, Charles, for reminding me. All right.
Later.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Kevin.
Good evening.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.